In 1942, as World War II raged, the U.S. government quietly sealed one of its largest gold vaults, deep beneath the hills of West Virginia. The order came without warning. Armed guards arrived at the remote site. Workers welded the steel door shut. The gold, stacked in neat rows and stamped with the seal of the United States, was never seen again. For decades, the vault's existence was a closely guarded secret. No official tours, no press releases, no public audits. The gold simply vanished from the ledgers, hidden from allies and enemies alike. The emotional echo was suspicion, the pride of a nation at war, the pain of uncertainty, the shock of realizing that even in a democracy, some secrets are too big to share. A single wartime order hid billions in gold from the world. How did America's treasure vanish into the shadows? The answer is in the way fear, strategy, and secrecy can turn a national asset into a legend. The panic of 1929, the gold runs of the 1930s, the uncertainty of every modern crisis. Each time, leaders promised security. Each time the rules changed and the dominoes fell faster. The contrast is stark. While the world fought for survival, America's gold was locked away, out of sight and out of mind. But to understand the vault's fate, we need to go back to the gold rushes and panics that built America's hoard. In 1848, a carpenter named James Marshall found gold flakes in the tail race of a sawmill on the American River. By the end of the year, tens of thousands had poured into California, their dreams staked on a few shining grains. The gold rush was on. San Francisco exploded from a sleepy port to a city of tents, saloons, and muddy streets. The emotional impact was electric. The hope of instant fortune, the pain of shattered dreams, the shock of a nation transformed by a single discovery. The fever spread. In the 1850s, prospectors chased gold into the Black Hills and the Rocky Mountains. In the 1890s, the Klondike called to a new generation, sending men and women trudging through snow and mud, risking everything for a chance at riches. The gold they found didn't just fill pockets, it filled the vaults of the U.S. Treasury. The government moved quickly to harness the boom. Mints sprang up in San Francisco, Denver, and New Orleans. The gold was melted, stamped, and stored as specie, the hard money that backed every dollar in circulation. The emotional echo was confidence. The gold standard became the bedrock of American finance. Every greenback was a promise, every coin a piece of the nation's monetary base, but every boom ended in a panic. The Panic of 1857, the crash of 1873, the Depression of the 1890s. Each time, the rush for gold turned into a scramble for safety. Banks failed. Depositors lined up in the rain, desperate to exchange paper for metal. The emotional toll was fear, the pride of a growing nation, the pain of sudden loss, the shock of seeing fortunes vanish overnight. How did a nation of prospectors become the world's gold king? Why did every boom end in a panic? The answer is in the way gold, hope, and risk are always intertwined. But the real gold rush was just beginning, on Wall Street and in Washington. In 1907, the New York Stock Exchange floor froze as panic swept through the city. Banks failed. Depositors lined up in the rain, desperate to exchange their paper for gold. The emotional echo was fear, the pride of a booming market, the pain of sudden collapse, the shock of seeing trust evaporate in a single morning. The panic revealed a hidden weakness. America's financial system was built on gold, but the gold was scattered, locked in private vaults, stashed in bank basements, and hoarded by the fearful. When trust broke, the system seized. The term bank run became a household phrase. In response, Congress created the Federal Reserve in 1913, a central bank designed to manage the nation's money supply and act as a lender of last resort. The Fed's gold reserves became the backbone of the system. The emotional impact was hope, the promise that panics could be prevented, that the ghosts of 1907 would never return. But the 1929 crash shattered that hope. As the Great Depression deepened, Americans rushed to withdraw their savings. Gold drained from the banks. The government watched as the nation's reserves melted away. The emotional toll was despair, the pride of a nation, the pain of hunger, the shock of seeing money lose its meaning. In 1933, President Franklin D. Roosevelt took a step no American leader had dared before. He ordered all gold coins and certificates turned into the government. The emotional impact was outrage and resignation. The gold was melted, stamped, and shipped to a new fortress in Kentucky, Fort Knox. The United States now held the world's largest gold reserve. How did fear of losing gold nearly break the system? What happens when the government takes your gold for itself? The answer is in the way trust, once broken, can only be restored by force or by building a fortress. But as war loomed, America's gold was moved to places even more secret than Fort Knox. In 1939, as Hitler's armies marched across Europe, the United States government made a decision that would remain secret for decades. Fearing invasion, sabotage, or a sudden attack on the homeland, officials began moving gold out of the obvious targets: New York, Philadelphia, even Fort Knox. The most sensitive shipments went to a vault deep beneath the hills of West Virginia. The operation was a masterpiece of wartime logistics. Armed convoys rolled through the night, their routes known only to a handful of Treasury officials and military guards. The gold was packed in crates, sealed with wax, and tracked by serial number. The emotional tension was palpable, the pride of a nation protecting its wealth, the fear that the world's most valuable asset could be lost in a single raid. By 1942, the West Virginia vault was sealed. The doors were welded shut. The gold was never seen again. The site vanished from public maps. Even after the war, the vault remained off limits. Its contents a mystery, its purpose a matter of rumor and speculation. The economic term strategic reserve took on new meaning. The gold was not just a store of value, it was a weapon, a bargaining chip, a last line of defense. In Washington, officials debated how much gold to keep hidden, how much to show, and how much to use to back the dollar in a world at war. The emotional echo was secrecy and suspicion. The public was told the gold was safe, but no one could see it. The legend of the lost vault grew. Was it a safeguard or a cover-up? The answer is in the way nations, in times of crisis, hide their most precious assets and rewrite the rules of trust. After the war, the gold was never seen again, and the rumors only grew. In 1945, as Allied troops marched through the ruins of Berlin and Tokyo, the United States emerged as the world's banker. The dollar, backed by gold, became the world's reserve currency. The Bretton Woods system, hammered out in a New Hampshire hotel, promised stability. 35 our dollars would always buy an ounce of gold, and every other currency would peg to the dollar. The emotional impact was hope and confidence. Europe and Japan rebuilt with American loans. The world's central banks filled their vaults with dollars, trusting that the gold in Fort Knox, and in secret vaults like West Virginia, would always be there. But the post-war boom came with a hidden cost. The U.S. spent freely on highways, suburbs, the space race, and most of all, the Cold War. The Marshall Plan rebuilt Europe, but dollars flowed out as fast as they came in. The Vietnam War drained the treasury. The emotional echo was anxiety, the pride of a superpower, the pain of mounting deficits, the shock of seeing gold reserves quietly shrink. The economic term gold outflow became a daily worry in Washington. By the late 1960s, foreign governments, led by France, began demanding gold for their dollars. Shipments of bullion left New York and Fort Knox, bound for Paris and Zurich. The world's trust in the dollar was being tested as never before. In August 1971, President Nixon ended the dollar's convertibility into gold. The world's anchor was now pure fiat currency, backed by nothing but trust. The emotional toll was confusion and fear. The old rules were gone, and no one knew what would come next. How did America's gold vaults go from overflowing to emptying? Why did the world's trust in the dollar depend on gold no one could see? The answer is in the way secrecy, power, and the quiet movement of bullion shaped the fate of nations. But as gold left the vaults, the legend of the lost reserve only grew. By the late 1970s, the gold that once filled America, yes, vaults, had become a national obsession and a source of endless suspicion. As inflation soared and the dollar's value tumbled, politicians and the public began to ask, where's the gold? Is it really there? Why won't the government let anyone see it? Congressional hearings demanded a full audit of the nation's gold reserves. Journalists filed Freedom of Information requests. Activists staged protests outside Fort Knox, waving banners that read, "Show us the gold." The Treasury responded with carefully staged photo ops, officials posing beside stacks of bars, but never opening the most secret vaults. The emotional echo was distrust. The gold, once a symbol of American strength, had become a sovereign asset shrouded in secrecy. Conspiracy theories flourished. Some claimed the gold had been secretly sold to foreign banks. Others whispered that it had been swapped for IOUs or even stolen. The legend of the lost West Virginia vault grew with every unanswered question. The economic term public trust took on new urgency. In a world of fiat money, the value of the dollar depended on confidence. Confidence that the government was honest, that the reserves were real, that the system was sound. Every rumor, every unanswered question chipped away at that trust. Political battles erupted. Some lawmakers demanded a full, independent audit. Others warned that too much transparency could trigger panic. The emotional tension was palpable. The pride of a nation, the pain of doubt, the shock of realizing that even in a democracy, some secrets are too big to share. And why did Congress demand to see the gold? What happens when a nation's treasure becomes a myth? The answer is in the way secrecy, power, and the need for trust collide in every financial system. Is the lost vault a warning about trust, secrecy, and the true value of money? In the 19th and 20th centuries, gold was the ultimate store of value. It backed currencies, settled wars, and anchored the world's trust. Fort Knox, the West Virginia Vault, and the Bank of England ES cellars were more than just storage. They were the foundation of the global financial system. The emotional impact was certainty. Gold was real, tangible, and immune to the whims of politicians. But in the 21st century, the world's money map has changed. Central banks still hold gold, but digital money and cryptocurrencies have exploded onto the scene. Bitcoin is called digital gold, a new kind of asset, borderless and beyond the reach of any single government. The emotional echo is curiosity and anxiety. Can code replace metal? Can trust be programmed? Central banks now manage reserves in a mix of gold, dollars, euros, and digital assets. The term monetary reset is whispered in policy circles. Some nations, fearing sanctions or inflation, quietly add to their gold hoards. Others experiment with central bank digital currencies, hoping to build a new kind of trust. The contrast is stark. In the past, gold was the anchor, slow, heavy, and hard to move. Today, money is light, fast, and sometimes invisible. The emotional parallel is clear. The panic of 1929, the gold runs of the 1930s, the crypto crashes of the 2020s, each time the world's leaders promise stability. Each time the rules change and the dominoes fall faster. Is gold still the world's ultimate safe haven? What did the Lost Vault teach us about the future of money? The answer is in the way every new system, no matter how advanced, is haunted by the need for something real. So what can you do as the next gold rush or digital panic begins? The story of America's lost gold vault is more than a tale of hidden treasure. It is a warning, etched in steel doors, faded ledgers, and the memories of those who lived through panics and wars, about the cycles of trust and secrecy that shape every financial system. Every era has its vault. In the 1940s, it was a fortress in West Virginia, sealed to protect the nation's wealth from enemies seen and unseen. In the 1970s, it was the closed doors of Fort Knox, the unanswered questions of Congress, the rumors that gold had vanished. Today, it is the invisible code of digital money, the encrypted ledgers of central banks, the quiet deals that move billions with a keystroke. The emotional echo is timeless, the pride of a nation at its peak, the pain of doubt, the shock of waking up to new rules. The panic of 1929, the gold runs of the 1930s, the crypto crashes of the 2020s. Each time, leaders promise security. Each time the rules change and the dominoes fall faster. The lesson is clear. Trust is the real currency. Gold, dollars, or digital tokens, none matter if the public loses faith. Secrecy can protect, but it can also corrode. The cost of easy money is not just measured in inflation or debt, but in the fragility of the system itself. Will you be ready when the next vault is sealed? Will you recognize the signals before the headlines hit? The answers are hidden in the past, if you know where to look. Don't assume the rules of money and power are set in stone. Watch for the signals: rising debt, sudden deals, the quiet transfer of strategic assets. Pay attention to the canaries, gold flows, new alliances, and the fine print in every contract. In every reset, someone is early, someone is late, and someone never even realizes a reset happened. Will you be ready when the next money crisis comes? Will you recognize the signals before the headlines hit? Subscribe for more cinematic economic history and learn how to spot the next money crisis before it hits.